Let me just introduce myself. So my name is Amar. I'm part of NetMinion. I have experience in networking, network security, and also I have experience in a cloud security. So overall, I have 15 plus year of experience. And apart from network security, I have experience on the cyber security as well. So the device which I am handling in the corporate world, so that is a router, switches, firewalls, proxy. These are the device which I'm handling. So before starting to this demo, just wanted to know your perspective that why users want to join the CCNA, so that accordingly we can plan uh, to train you, or accordingly we can plan demo. So maybe Deepak or Shri, you guys let me know. So let's talk about the CCNA. CCNA stands for Cisco Certified Network Associate, and this is a kind of entry level certification in a uh, Cisco product. So in CCNA, what you are going to learn, basically here you are going to learn network fundamentals. You are going to talk about network access, and you are going to talk about the IP connectivity, IP services, security fundamental, and automation. So basically in CCNA, we are going to learn the network on the advanced level, where we are going to configure routers and switching using different mechanism, using a command line, using a API, which is known as a automation. So you can configure router and switches using the automation as well. Right. So these are the things we are going to learn. This certification, basically having the code, the certification code is 200-301. And if you want to learn CCNA in a detail, so basically you can refer for the study guide as well, which is official study guide from Cisco. So that is written by Wendell Ohms. So you can refer this particular study guide. So basically what the topic we are going to cover in this particular course, we are going to cover the introduction to TCP/IP networking. So here we are going to talk about what is a TCP/IP. Basically, we are going to talk about here IP addresses. We will talk about the fundamental of Ethernet LAN. So we will talk about the Ethernet technology. Okay, and in that technology, we are going to cover LAN, and we are also going to cover the WAN, wide area network. We will talk about the command line interface. What is a CLI, and how you can use that to configure switches and routers. Okay, and then we will talk about the basic management of switches. Okay, we will talk about the how to configure switches interfaces. We will talk about the virtual LAN. We will talk about the spanning tree protocol, RSTP, and Ethernet configuration. We will discuss over here. We will discuss about the IP version 4 subnetting. Okay, where we are going to discuss about the classful network and classless network. We will talk about that how you can analyze the subnet mask, or how you can customize the subnet mask. We also talk about that operation of the Cisco router, how Cisco router boots, what is their booting process, that we are going to discuss over here. We will talk about the configuration of static routing. We will talk about the configuration of dynamic routing. So in dynamic routing, we are going to talk about the OSPF, EIGRP, BGP, all these protocol we are going to discuss over here. We also discussed the IP version 6, which is next generation of IPv protocol. And then we will discuss about the wireless network. Okay. And we will discuss about the automation as well. So in the automation, we are going to discuss REST API, JSON, Ansible, Puppet, Chef. All these topics we are going to cover. With this particular course, we are going to provide the lab as well. So to access the labs, you can go with the with this particular link, labs.netminion.net, and there you can see the labs. Okay, and if you want to perform CCNA practicals, you can perform in this lab, okay, and you can perform on the simulator as well. So we are going to cover both things. We are going to cover Cisco Packet Tracer as well, which is one of the simulator to perform the networking practicals, or you can use this lab also. Okay, so in this lab, you can see different devices, and this is customizable. You can customize this lab devices. You can add the devices as per your choice. So that's the lab basically. So here you can see switches. You can see the routers. Okay, and in the Cisco Packet Tracer, you can use the same thing. You can take the switches, routers, okay, and you can perform the practical. In Cisco Packet Tracer, you are not going to get full-fledged of the operating system feature, where in this lab, you are going to get full-fledged of the operating system feature. So for example, in Cisco iOS, if you want to run any particular command, so maybe on the Packet Tracer, there is a limitation, but in this particular lab, in our lab, there is no limitation. You can run all the command, all type of scenario you can configure over here. Okay, and with this lab, with this particular course, what else you are going to get? You are going to get all the PPT, all the workbook, and the recorded video. So you can refer them to perform your practice or to perform your lab. Now, starting with why we should go for the CCNA. So if I go official website of the Cisco, so after completion of the CCNA, you could have the possible job roles like network entry-level network engineer. You can go for help desk technician, network administrator, or network support technicians. So these are the job roles that you can achieve post completing this CCNA. If I talk about the prerequisite to perform the CCNA or to obtain the CCNA certification, so there is no formal prerequisite, but Cisco is recommending if you have a 1 year experience in network, that's fine. The certification would valid for only 3 years. Okay, and after 3 years, either you have to requalify the exam, same exam, or higher exam, or you need to earn 30 continuing education credit from the Cisco itself. If I talk about the exam and training, so you can refer the CCNA exam guide, and if you want to know what are the detailed topic in the exam, so from official website you can refer detailed topic in the exam. So you can see the from network fundamental they are covering 20%, from network access they are covering 20%, from IP connectivity they are covering 25%, IP services 10%, security fundamental 15%, and automation and programmability, that is a 10%. Detailed topic you can see over here. In particular topic, what all those things is going to be covered over here, so that you can see from the official website as well. So in nutshell, we are going to cover all these things which is mentioned in the Cisco website, right, in our training. Okay, now moving to next, we will talk about some demo over here, right, to perform the some demo. So for example, in this demo, we are going to cover that if your PC is here, this is simple network that is connected to a switch. And if this want to access internet, how you can configure your router to provide the connectivity, internet connectivity to all these PC. So that is the things we are going to cover into the demo. But before that, if you have any particular question regarding the topic training, okay, please let me know. Arun, Dipakshri, anybody, if you have any particular question regarding this training, please let me know. All right, so if there is no question, let's start with this demo. So in this demo, let me tell you what I'm going to do. So simple, this is the simple network. Let's say somebody is asking you to provide the setup. Let's say they just want to have internet connectivity for their devices. So how you can do that if you have a Cisco router? So let's say somebody is saying that they have the user connected via switch. These are the users is connected via switch. And for them, we need to provide the internet. So you recommended go and purchase the Cisco router. So the customer has purchased the Cisco router. And now you just want to provide the internet connectivity to them. So this router you need to configure. So if you want to configure router for the internet connectivity, so how you can do that? Let me know. Well, let me tell you. So basically this is the one of the interface which is connected to the internet, which is ISP basically. ISP would be providing IP using a DSCP to your company. So on this interface, it would be getting the IP from DSCP. Here you are going to configure a static IP. Okay, so this is the static IP you can configure over here, 192.168.2.10.254. And on these PC, you are going to provide the IP from DSCP or static. Okay, these PC gateway would be your router IP, that would be gateway. Okay, so using this IP, router is going to route the packet which is coming from the LAN to the WAN. So first, what all the steps you need to follow to do this? First of all, you need to configure router. So on router, you are going to configure on router side, what you are going to configure? You are going to configure IP for both interface for LAN and WAN. After that, you are going to configure NAT. Okay. And finally, you are going to configure routes. So if you assign the IP using DSCP to this interface, so from the ISP router itself, it is going to get the routes towards the internet. But if you configure the IP using static, so you can manually configure routes towards the ISP. So let me show you how we can do that. Let's start the configuration over here. So this is the router. Right now there is nothing is configured on this router. Let me just open it. This is ISP router. And right now there is nothing configured on this ISP router. This is just a blank router. If I show you the configuration, so there is a command show running config. And you can see on any particular interface, there is nothing configured. So we haven't configured anything so far on this particular router. And now I'm going to start the configuration. Okay, I can show you the interface configuration as well. On the interface, there won't be anything. Show IP interface brief. If I run this command, I should be able to see the interface configuration. So you can see on the interface, we haven't configured anything. These are the interface. There is no IP assigned, nothing. So I'm going to configure the interface gig 0/0 first. And for that, we need to go to configure mode into the. So go to config mode using conf space T. Access the interface, which is interface. The command is interface. This interface name gig 0/0 gigabit 0/0. Okay. And after that, you can assign the IP address using the command IP DSCP, because I just want to assign IP using DSCP. Sorry, IP address DSCP. So I'm going to configure IP address using DSCP. And if I run the command no shut to turn on this interface, so it would be getting the IP from DSCP. On gig 0/2, if I just want to configure IP, so I would run the command interface gig 0/2 For interface shortcut, I can write int gig0/2 and enter. And here I can assign the IP address that is mentioned over here. IP address 192.168.10.254. Subnet mask 255.255.258.0. No shut. IP has been assigned. So this is the basic configuration we have done on the interface. If you just want to verify whether it got the IP or not, so you can run the command show exit from here, and you can run the command show IP interface brief. So you can see gigabit 0/0 got this IP from DSCP, and gigabit 0/2 got this IP from, that is a static, that's a manual IP, and the status of both interfaces up. Okay, if you want to see the routes, basically if it is got the IP from DSCP, the ISP has pushed the route as well. So if I just want to see the routes, show IP routes using this command, I can see the routes over here. So you can see it got the static default route. S star is what? Static default. And it is pointing towards, this is the routes. Any network, it is pointing towards 192.168.1.1. So basically this 192.168.1.1 somewhere virtually is here, over here somewhere. That's a virtually it would be over here somewhere. That is the router from ISP. Okay, and this router having IP 192.168.1.1. that is the gateway of this router. So if this router want to go internet, it would be sending the traffic to this ISP router, and then further it would be reaching to the internet. Right. So I have assigned the IP address. What next? I need to configure NAT. To configure the NAT, I need to create an access list. So let me just click on this. And let's configure NAT. So go to config mode again. First of all, to configure the NAT, we need to identify the source network. And source network we can identify using the access list. So I'm going to create access list, where I'm going to permit access list number 10, permit entire network. I just want to permit. So 192.168.10.0, this is a network. And for this network, there is a wildcard mask, which is 0.0.255. So we identify that I just want to permit this network for internet access. So any PC on this particular network, 10.0/24, any network, if I want to access internet, it would be able to access the internet using a NAT. So for that, I need to run the command. Before that, I need to define that which would be internal side interface and which would be external side interface. So gig 0/0 is the external side interface. So that I need to define IPNet outside, and gig 0/2, I need to define IPNet inside. So let's go to these interface, int gig 0/2. Say this is IPNet inside, and that's an internal interface, and gig 0/0, I would define IPNet outside. Int space gig 0/0, IPNet outside. And then I would exit from here, and I would run the command IPNet inside source. Source address is on this list, and interface gig 0/0 overload. Okay, so NAT has been done. I can try if this router would be able to access internet or not. So if I try to ping 8.8.8.8, that's the internet IP, it's able to ping. I can try to ping from this particular interface gig 0 by 2. So I can say source gig 0 by 2. From this interface, it is able to access internet. Let's see from PC10 I can access internet or not. So first of all, on PC10, I need to see the IP. So there is a command to see the IP, show IP. Using this command, you can see the IP. There is no IP is assigned. I'm going to assign IP address with the gateway. So I would run the command IP, and then I would assign this IP address 192.168.10.1. 192.168.10.1. And that's the IP. With the IP, I can define /24, that's a subnet mask, and then I can define gateway. What would be the gateway, by the way? Gateway would be my router IP. The router IP is 192.168.10.254. So let me put that. And you can see I have put the IP. I can run the command show IP. And now that is showing over here. If I try to ping 8.8.8 from here, I should be able to ping if my router is routing the packet properly. You can see I'm getting the reply because the router is routing the packet properly. On PC2, let's see. Show IP. Using this command, you can see what is the IP assigned. And now you can define the IP 192.168.10.2/24. And gateway, you can define your router IP 192.168.10.254. So this would be also able to access internet. If I try to ping 8.8.8, this is internet IP. It's pinging. I'm able to access that. So through this, how my packet is routing, 8.8.8 somewhere over the internet, somewhere here, we have a 8.8.8 IP. My packet is going from here to the ISP router. This is doing a NAT. And after doing a NAT, it is sending the traffic to this 8.8.8. Why NAT is important? Because I have a private IP, and if private IP want to communicate to the public IP, so it required NATing. And that's why I perform the NAT over here so that my LAN PC can access the internet. So now it is able to access internet using a NAT. All of these PC is able to access internet. So this is the one of the simple scenario. You need to provide the internet access to the user. You can provide using this. There could be a more complicated scenario where you need to route the traffic from one network to another network, and you need to make sure that your router would be selecting the best path. Okay, so that you can also see in the other classes. So far, if you have any question, please let me know. Anyone? Now the question is, let's say you have a PC on this network and PC on this network, and if they just want to communicate to each other, how they would be communicating? They would be going to the router, or they would be directly communicating via switch? Can you guys please answer? So basically both PC is on LAN, okay, and that is connected to the switch. They are on the same subnet. So their packet would not go to router. That packet would be going to route through the, that packet would go through the switch only. And here Routing is not required, only switching is required. So we have both PC, and I just want to have the communication in between both PC. Okay, so by default it would be communicating. Let me show you. So I'm going to on this particular PC, PC2. I'm trying to ping PC1, and PC1 IP is 192.168.10.1, and you can see it's getting reply from there. And same way, PC1 can communicate to PC2. If I try to ping 192.168.10.2, that's a PC2 IP, and you can see it's communicating. Okay, so what is the conclusion? If the PC want to communicate in the LAN, and if those are in same subnet, routing is not required, only switching is required, and switching is done by the switch only. And if the PC is communicating from one subnet to different subnet, then on that cases routing is required. And in our example, my PC LAN want to communicate on the WAN, and for that routing is required, and routing we have already configured on the routers. What kind of routing we have on the router? Right now that is a default routing, because if you run the command show IP routes, so there you can see we have a default routing enabled. Okay.
And Dipanshu asked some question.
I'm not able to see his question.
Okay. He asked they will connect via switch if they are on same network. Maybe he give answer.
Yeah. If they are on same network, they would be connecting via switch. And if they just want to communicate on different network, so there is a router required. So different network is what? For example, let's say this is one of the network that you can see over here. 192.168.1.17/30, and we have 1.33/30. Both are different networks, right? So if this PC want to communicate to this PC, it would be communicating via router. Or you can take example, let's say one of the India PC want to communicate Thailand PC and Thailand network, which is 40.1.0, something on this particular subnet. So what we require a router. Yeah. So yeah, if you want to know more about the course, you can refer to our website, which is netminion.net. Okay, so there not only you can see the course related to CCNA, we have a multiple course, and all those course list you can see over here, right? So for example, CCNA, CCNP, CCIE, okay, SD-WANs, all these particular courses we are covering, including cloud, Palo Alto, checkpoint. These are the firewall courses. Yeah. And if you want to communicate to us, you just click on this WhatsApp button and you can communicate to us.